Good morning, welcome to Catex TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. Today is Wednesday, January 28th, 2015. If you want to follow us on Twitter, go to Catex TV. Well, the northeastern U.S. is digging out after the big snowstorm. The snow fall in the New York area was not as much as anticipated. However, the New England area and Boston in particular really was pounded. Both by snow as well as by intense winds coming from the nor'easter. In addition to that, the temperature has dropped considerably here, and it's going to be very cold for a little while to come yet. Meanwhile, in Florida, it seems as if the insurance commissioner, Kevin McCarty, who has been in that post since 2003, is on the way out. It seems that Florida Governor Rick Scott is looking for a replacement for Mr. McCarty. As he begins his second term, he has contacted already, apparently, the deputy insurance commissioner in Louisiana, a man named Ron Henderson, about his availability for the job. Mr. Henderson is right now in charge of consumer advocacy for the insurance department. He's been there since November of 2012. He's going to have very big shoes to fill, replacing Kevin McCarty. The Jordanian government has agreed just this morning to release a convicted terrorist in exchange for the freeing of an Air Force pilot held by the terrorist group ISIS. According to a statement released on Jordanian state TV, this just came out before the deadline that ISIS had set, indicating that they would kill the Jordanian airman as well as another Japanese journalist who they're holding hostage. This may mean now that in addition to the Jordanian pilot, the Japanese hostage will be released, assuming ISIS follows through on its promise. An independent reinsurance broker in London, Alsford Page Gems, has been bought out by a consortium comprising the company's current management, as well as a privately owned Australian equity firm called PSC Capital. This is a rare instance of an independent brokerage remaining independent and not being snapped up by one of the big reinsurance brokers. Alsford Page Gems management will hold 28% of the company under the new shareholding agreement, with PSC Capital holding 72%. The deal marks PSC's first major investment into an established reinsurance business. They are a specialist investor in the insurance sector, with combined turnover in excess of 650 million Australian dollars. Brown & Brown, the U.S.'s sixth largest insurance broker, has reported fourth quarter net income down about 48% in earnings. They reported net income of about $24.6 million. It was mainly hit by a $47 million charge as the firm finally exited its reinsurance brokerage business. The large pre-tax charge was tied to the December 31st sale of Axiom Re, as well as a definitive agreement to sell certain assets of Acumen Reinsurance Management Corporation. This was to be effective February 15th. This will complete Brown's strategy to exit the reinsurance brokerage space once and for all. Other than that, Brown & Brown had a pretty good quarter. Their revenues grew about 14.6%, up to $393 million. Pricing in the commercial property and casualty insurance market in the United States dipped slightly in the fourth quarter of last year. This is according to the Council of Insurance Agents and Brokers. According to the Council's quarterly index study, premium prices declined by an average of 0.7% in the fourth quarter. This is compared to increases in the fourth quarter of 2013 as well as the third quarter of 2014. Large accounts experienced the biggest pricing drop, falling about 2.2%. The chief financial officer in Florida, who actually is involved and was hoping to be named as the successor to Kevin McCarty as the reinsurance commissioner, has come out with an interesting statement. Jeff Atwater, the chief financial officer, said that stress tests and the publicizing of those stress tests will help Florida consumers have more confidence in small Florida-based insurance companies. Florida, of course, has been dominated now by Florida-based insurance companies known as takeout companies that are depopulating the state-run homeowners insurance market. Florida has not had a major hurricane in some time, so as a result now, this business has become relatively profitable. Interestingly enough, the question that keeps being asked, according to Mr. Atwater, is, are these players that will be here after the big one comes, referring to the small Florida companies? He's saying, in fact, these companies are sound, and the stress test will be able to convey that measure of reassurance to purchasers. Speaking of reassurance, we'll speak about reinsurance. Mr. Atwater said that consumers are finally ready for the rates to come down. The chief financial officer said he had asked Kevin McCarty to report to him if 2015 is the year when Florida's rates are going to begin to decrease, given the fact that the state hasn't had a major hurricane strike in years. He said, the wait is over. The consumer has grown tired. If the changes that were put in place 2 years ago can't achieve the savings the legislature expected, something has to give. McCarty said that the insurance market is in the best shape it's been in a while, and he said his goal is, in fact, to pass on the reductions in the cost of reinsurance as savings to homeowners. Attendees at the conference gave McCarty a standing ovation as he took the stage, and Atwater singled him out for praise before his speech. McCarty is going to be happy to leave that position, I suspect, because of the public clamoring for rate decreases, when in fact it's some of the most exposed property in the world. An interesting story here. A clash has broken out between Alibaba and the Chinese government over the authenticity of merchandise sold on the Chinese e-commerce giant site. Apparently, according to a study released by the government, some 37% of the goods sold on the consumer site of Alibaba, Taobao, are in fact fakes. This paper was dated July 2014, showing that the review had been conducted before Alibaba's $25 billion IPO in September. What a mistake that is. 37% of the goods sold on the consumer site, the primary engine driver of Alibaba, were identified by the Chinese government as being fakes, and that information was not released to investors who bought into the IPO in September. Alibaba is, in fact, exercised about this. They said fake goods are a tumor in economic development. We're willing to work with the Chinese government to get rid of this tumor. This whole thing has come as many complaints have been being voiced by international brands about fakes sold on Alibaba. It also highlights a concern among investors that the company is dogged by the unpredictability of Alibaba's relations with the Chinese government. That's to the extent that people can figure out what those relations are. It's a difficult thing when a company regulated in China and headquartered in China goes out for an IPO on an American stock market. We never thought that we would have all the questions answered, and we may not. That's the news for today. If we have any breaking news, we'll come back and tell you. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.